Welcome to SA News Weekly News Update. We'll cover the top stories from across the United States, important developments worldwide, and new insights from the world of health and science.
The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention released an update this week on an active Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Uganda. According to the CDC, the outbreak involves Bundibugyo virus and has become the largest Bundibugyo Ebola outbreak on record. CDC officials said the outbreak was first detected among clusters of healthcare workers and has expanded across affected areas where health systems face serious access and infrastructure challenges. The CDC also released modeling to show how the outbreak could develop under different public health response conditions. The agency described the modeling as a planning tool, not a prediction. In one scenario, if only 20% of cases are isolated within 2 days of symptoms, more than 20,000 cases were projected in 2/3 of simulations over the next 3 months. In another scenario, if 70% of cases are isolated within 2 days, the CDC model showed a 94% probability of limiting the outbreak to fewer than 10,000 cases. For people in the United States, the CDC said the current overall risk remains low. The agency said importation risk is low at present, and sustained secondary transmission in the US is also considered low because of infection control systems and public health capacity. The CDC said there is no recommended behavior change for Americans whose travel does not involve the affected countries. The U.S. Supreme Court issued an 8-1 decision this week involving the Federal Communications Commission and telecommunications companies. The court upheld the power of federal regulators to enforce data privacy laws against telecom companies. The case involved Verizon and AT&T and a combined $100 million in penalties after the FCC determined that the companies failed to safeguard customer location data. The companies challenged the FCC's process, arguing that they had not received enough opportunity to contest the penalties before a jury. The Supreme Court affirmed the FCC's authority to issue penalty orders when companies still have legal routes to challenge them. The decision preserved one of the FCC's key enforcement tools, while also noting a regulatory concession that could affect how penalties are handled. The location data can reveal sensitive details about a person's movements, routines, workplace, home area, and daily life. Telecom companies handle large amounts of this information because mobile phones constantly connect to towers and networks. When regulators enforce privacy rules, the outcome affects how companies protect customer data and how government agencies respond when data is mishandled. A ruling that sharply limited this type of enforcement could have affected agency penalty systems in other areas. Instead, the court allowed the FCC process to stand in this case. The hot and dry weather, connected with the developing El Niño pattern, is affecting crop planting and yield expectations across parts of Asia, and the pressure on grain fields in India, rice-growing regions in Southeast Asia, and wheat areas in Australia. The concern is timing. Crops are highly sensitive during planting and early growth stages. If rainfall is delayed or heat rises sharply, farmers may reduce planted acreage, delay sowing, or face weaker yields. Reuters reported that rice and wheat prices had already moved upward as markets responded to the risk of lower production. Rice is especially important because it is a staple food for billions of people. Southeast Asia is central to global rice supply, while India plays a major role in both production and export. When monsoon rainfall or regional rainfall patterns become uncertain, the effects can move beyond farms into food prices, trade decisions, and household budgets. Australia's wheat crop is also being watched because El Niño often brings drier conditions to parts of the country. Even where recent rain provides temporary relief, seasonal forecasts can affect farmer decisions, export planning, and commodity markets. Food security is not only about one country's harvest. Global grain and rice markets are connected. A poor season in one region can influence prices elsewhere, especially when several producing areas face weather stress at the same time. The coming weeks will be important as rainfall patterns develop and planting decisions become clearer. NASA's Earth Observatory shared an image this week titled "A Moonlit Earth as Seen from Artemis II." NASA said the astronaut photo was taken while the mission was en route to the moon and showed Earth in a novel way from deep space. The image was published as NASA's Image of the Day for June 4, 2026. This story is visually powerful because it connects human spaceflight with Earth science. Artemis II is part of NASA's program to return astronauts to lunar distance missions. and test systems needed for future exploration. Images taken from these missions are not only symbolic, they also help the public understand Earth's place in space and the scale of human exploration beyond low Earth orbit. NASA also continues to publish skywatching guidance for June 2026, including planetary alignments, the Moon passing in front of Venus, the start of summer, and deep sky viewing opportunities. These public science updates help connect major space missions with everyday skywatching from Earth. The relief work carried out under the guidance of Sant Rampal Ji Maharaj for flood-affected farmers in several Haryana villages. The report focused on Paini Chandrapal in Rohtak, Kohli and Ramayan villages in Hisar and Badasra village in Bhiwani, where farmland had remained waterlogged for a long period, damaging crops and delaying cultivation. According to the report, several villages were facing serious agricultural problems because fields were covered with several feet of stagnant water. In some places, kharif crops had already been destroyed, and farmers were at risk of missing the wheat sowing season. The report says that under the Annapurna Muhim, motors, pipelines, electrical starters, cables and other drainage equipment were provided to remove water from affected fields. In Paini Chandrapal, around 700-800 acres were waterlogged, and equipment including about 6,500 feet of 8-inch pipeline and multiple motors was provided. In Badesra, the report says nearly 4,000 acres were affected, and around 12,000 feet of pipeline, along with 5 15 HP motors were supplied. In Ramayan village, the drainage effort reportedly continued for about 1.5 months. The main development is that after drainage work, farmers in these areas were able to prepare fields again and restart sowing. This news can be presented as a community relief and farmer support story, showing how organized social assistance was used to help restore agricultural activity after prolonged waterlogging.
And that wraps up this week's bulletin. Thank you for joining SA News, and we'll see you next week. Truth that you want to know.